But now let's examine how rhetorical appeals might go in our speeches, or they might be something that we need to be aware of as a receiver, a consumer of media. Aristotle's rhetorical appeals include ethos, pathos, or pathos if you prefer, and logos. And for the purpose of our rhetorical appeals quiz, some of these pictures will be discussed or tested. This picture that you might see in an ad has an individual with a white coat on. The statement says, "This screen has been backed by dermatologist." So what appeal might this be covering? Are they appealing to the authority, the believability and trust we might have with ethos? Are they appealing to the emotion? And yeah, there might be elements, somebody might say, oh, that's a pretty lady, that's appealing to my emotions. But again, which one is the strongest, perhaps? Or is it logos, logical facts, reasons? You decide. Credibility is important. And for our classes, I teach that it's your personal credibility. And I also suggest that it's the great authoritative sources you are citing in your speeches that can build credibility. So credibility, again, trust and respect, the idea that we should believe that speaker or that person that's delivering that message, that this is something that's credible. Or is it grabbing our emotions? Or does it feel like credibility is more just logical facts? You decide. In 2008, presidential candidate Barack Obama did a speech, and this is a little excerpt from that. "I will end this war in Iraq responsibly and finish the fight against al-Qaeda and the Taliban in Afghanistan. I will rebuild our military to meet future conflicts, but I will also renew the tough, direct diplomacy that can prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons and curb Russian aggression. I will build new partnerships to defeat the threats of the 21st century, terrorism and nuclear proliferation, poverty and genocide, climate change and disease. And I will restore our moral standing so that America is once again that last best hope for all who are called to the cause of freedom, who long for the lives of peace and who yearn for a better future." Obama did a great thing in here that there's a few varieties. He's giving you some emotional appeal in there, but what does this excerpt, this little clipping say that shows an appeal? Is it to credibility, the personal credibility of the speaker, or is it to facts? Don't choose pathos, guys. Look at the eyes. The next bullet point asks you to choose which appeal would have sense and logic, reason and logic, by using facts and statistics, some analogies that are a literal thing, some good abstract language. This is where the guy says certain authorities, citing certain authorities, and I'd probably put it in ethos, but which one, with all these other words, appealing to your sense of reason and logic? Would this be ethos, pathos, or logos? This example is again a bullet point, and you look at the words that are in this list. The speaker is going to use emotionally charged words, create pictures and imagery, a charged tone. Maybe there's an urgency to it or something, and it feels intense at times. Emotion evoking examples and stories, relying on the value of implied meaning, so they don't lay it all out. They are grabbing something, they're grabbing a portion of you that's going to help convince you. So is that ethos, the credibility of the speaker, pathos, the emotion, or logos, the reason and logic? How many times do we see images and we get a quick feeling? If these big doggy eyes appeal to you with personal credibility, is this message more about grabbing your heart, pathos, or is it logic and reasoning, logos? Remember, as a speaker, you'd want to combine all three of those in your message, visual or written or spoken message. This one could be interesting because if you knew who this player is and you believe that player is awesome, then you would say ethos. And I would argue that many people might not know who this player is. However, they could see this picture and it will have a response. It'll either grab their eyes or not, but which of these three would it be? This picture does the same. In the words, give thanks for the healthy kids in your life and give to those who are not. And this picture definitely supports with one of these appeals. In 2010, Ben Bernanke did an article in the Economic Outlook and Monetary Policy for the US. And you can read the kinds of words that Ben Bernanke says and decide, are these personal credibility of the speaker? Is he talking about himself and how he connects and why he knows about this topic? Is it pathos, grabbing the emotions? There may be elements of that if you have a response to a certain word or statement, but is this all about grabbing your heart? Is it logos, logical reasons, organized facts that would grab the appeal to the audience? You decide. Everybody has heard, I think, of the I had a dream. I have a dream speech from 1963 with MLK Jr. And we know that he used great intentional repetition. And this is a clip from that. Remember, he was a master speaker who has been analyzed by so many people. So he could grab hearts and minds using all of these appeals. I want you to look at these words, look at this, and see if any of those stand out. Is it his personal credibility? Is it emotionally grabbing words that he says? Is it logical facts and reasonings? Learn these three different appeals and you'll be able to apply them and really grab your audience's attention. This particular quip is a statement and it's an opinion piece, and you can see that there's definitely one response, one appeal that comes out of these words. You decide. Again, we've got credibility listed, and I didn't want to confuse by saying here they're referencing studies or statistics and make you think that that made the whole thing logos. Again, we're working on the word credibility here. Cred is the Greek root for truth. And if you have, as a speaker, credibility, people believe you have the ability to tell you about this subject. They're more likely to accept it. So pick out the word credibility. Which word, which appeal does that go with? Stories will often show rather than just tell, so you don't respond to the photo unless it grabs your hearts. But if you've got a speech where you're sharing a story that supports your message or contrasts and shows you something different, you got a couple of different stories, it can really create pictures and grab hearts with that statement and the fact that we're talking about is storytelling. Which appeal would that do most? Ethos, pathos, or logos? Finally, here's an ad, and it definitely, unless you maybe know who Ronaldo Martinez is, this one should be pretty obvious to you. And as a student and as a consumer of media, you get to realize, how is this message trying to appeal to me? There's one that stands out. And you can do that in your speeches and in your personal messages by using any of the support tool items and layering those in your speech. Good luck on your quiz, but more importantly, use all three of these appeals in your speeches.